The purpose of this recording is to provide exemplification of the lower end of CEFR Level B2 performance for speaking. We'll talk about indicators of performance that make this test taker typical of the bottom of the B2 band. This recording only provides test taker responses. If you would like further context for the questions in this recording, you can find the corresponding test item audio and transcripts in the video Speaking Exemplification, Item Audio and Transcripts. These are genuine responses from test takers. The responses have not been manipulated in any way. Therefore, there may be responses shorter than the allotted time, or the test taker may run out of time when providing their response. Table 1 shows the alignment of PTE Academic scores to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR. The exemplification materials in this resource have been selected using this alignment. These exemplification materials show responses from test takers who have been classified at each CEFR band based on their PTE Academic speaking score. It should be noted that speaking scores come from the combination of many test items that measure different aspects of language proficiency. The purpose of these exemplars is to show the range of item responses produced by test takers in different CEFR bands and to provide indicative evidence of the key features of speaking performances across and within CEFR language proficiency bands. At the low B2 level, test takers are likely to have a solid grasp of the common vocabulary necessary for describing the main features of the task prompts. They may make frequent errors, but these are unlikely to impede the main points that they are trying to convey. At this level, test takers are likely to find it challenging to express complex points or more nuanced ideas. For each test item, you will hear the test taker's response first, followed by the commentary on their response.
The chart gives the population of South Africa from 1996 to 2016. It shows that from 1996, the population is gradually increasing from the 40 million in 1996 and increased for about 5 million in 2021 and steadily increased until 2016 at over 50 million. And also at the same time, the female population is approximately the same as.
This test taker demonstrates adequate overall comprehension of the chart's main information. The population increase in South Africa between 1996 and 2016. Due to her hesitancy and relative lack of fluency, she is unable to fully convey her understanding of the chart's details relating to the female or male population ratios within the task's time limit. The test taker's limited range of vocabulary prevents her from perfectly explaining the incremental population growth across the period shown. For example, she says an increase for about 5 million instead of an increase of about 5 million. She produces a moderate summary of the data shown, with occasional inaccuracies. For example, she occasionally misreads the year, but she is usually able to correct slips and errors as she becomes conscious of them. Overall, the test taker is able to communicate general information reliably and clearly, despite limitations typical of this low B2 language proficiency level.
The lecture introduced the development of the city of Melbourne as a city that develops intensely, and originally people can only walk in the city, which leads to a problem that the city cannot increase very much until the development of cars and public transport, which allows people to go further away from the city.
As we would expect at low B2 level, the test taker is able to understand the main idea of the lecture and can provide a clear description, but she fails to convey certain points, such as the contrast between cities that grow up and those that grow out. As is typical of low B2 test takers, her pronunciation is still clearly influenced by her first language, causing particular problems with consonant sequences, for example the TR sound in introduce and transport, and the PM sound in development. What she says is, though, generally intelligible, with the exception of at least one word: the city of Melbourne, as a city that develops in Fastic.
The discussion is about whether open days are useful or not, and why are they having one. One of the professors says that uni is already accepting many students, and since there are so many applicants each year, they are already not accepting some very good students, so it's not so useful for open days to attract more students. While the other tutor says that open days allows the prospective student to gain an understanding of what it is like to be in this uni, therefore making a better decision of whether to come to this uni or not. And by inviting first-year volunteers to the open days, it allows the students to share their experience to the prospective students, therefore allowing them to get a better understanding of what it is like to be studying here.
B2 test takers are expected to be able to follow the main points of discussions around them when they are conducted in clear standard language or a familiar variety. This low B2 test taker meets this expectation, though she has trouble conveying certain points within her summary due to issues with pronunciation and her restricted vocabulary. Words like professor and applicant are almost unintelligible, and her trouble with consonant sequences is evident throughout. As expected in terms of fluency at low B2, she is able to keep going quite effectively during her summary, despite some pausing for grammatical and lexical planning.
To give a present for our friends to a new apartment, I think the primary present should be very useful. When she moves into a new apartment, she might be missing a lot of furniture, but furniture is quite expensive. So maybe to give a cheaper present can be like plates or cups or other everyday items that could be useful.
Test takers at low B2 level are expected to be able to participate actively in this kind of discussion. This test taker shows the ability to offer advice, express her opinion, and evaluate alternative proposals. She has a sufficiently wide range of vocabulary for dealing with this topic, but, as we'd expect at low B2, some of her word choices are inappropriate and confusing. For example, when she says the primary present. At B2 level, test takers should be able to sustain their opinions in discussion by providing relevant comments. This is clear when the test taker initially proposes furnitures, then suggests tableware might be more appropriate. Highlighting the fact she is at the low end of the B2 scale, her phonological control impedes her ability to successfully communicate her point about furnitures. Her mispronunciation makes this word almost unintelligible, but her point does later become clear due to her overall interactive competence level.
During the 1996 up to year of 2016, we can see that the population is growing and growing by each year. So in 1996, the male was over 20 million of population and 40 million for the female. And 2016 has over 20 million and over 40 million of females.
This test taker demonstrates adequate overall comprehension of the main information, the fact that the population of South Africa is growing over the period, and that it goes up each year shown on the chart. However, in line with expectations of test takers at this level, the test taker fails to comprehend and convey all of the chart's details. She seems not to fully understand how the population is divided between females and males. For example, she says, in 1996, the male was over 20 million and over 40 million for the females. Her use of the term the male to describe the male population is an example of the limited linguistic skills typical of this low B2 language proficiency level. Similarly, when she says during the 1996 up to year of 2016, we can see that she is a test taker who can be understood when speaking despite inaccuracies, hesitancy, and a lack of fluency.
Melbourne is one of the well-developed city in Australia, which has a lot of population nowadays. So it needs to have like a
As we would expect at the B2 level, the test taker is generally able to use appropriate intonation, place stress correctly, and articulate individual sounds clearly. Her accent tends to be influenced by the other language or languages she speaks, but this has little effect on intelligibility. While pronunciation is clear, her fluency is limited, probably as a result of her trying to recall and accurately pronounce specific words she has heard. For example, she is particularly slow before saying well-developed. This limited fluency prevents her from demonstrating a full understanding of the lecture due to being cut off, but she does seem to have understood the main idea.
a three professor are talking about an open day for the student to welcome the student to the university. They have discussed about the student feedbacks about the university. It is about the decreasing of enrollment in the university and why it is happening. So their call for the open day is to promote the university and promote that any race or any background of the student can achieve something in life.
B2 level test takers should be able to follow much of the everyday conversation and discussion around them, provided it is clearly articulated in standard language. This test taker shows she has this level of ability, as she is able to convey the main topic and some details of the discussion. As we would expect at B2, her lexical accuracy is generally high, though some confusion and incorrect word choice occurs. For example, she refers to the discussion participants as students at one point. As we expect at B2, she can produce stretches of language with a fairly even tempo. And although she can be hesitant when searching for patterns and expressions, there are few noticeably long pauses.
A perfect gift for her new apartment is a picture frame of us and all of our friends together in one frame. So whenever she meets us, she can just look at the picture and think about how we love her.
The test taker demonstrates the ability to take an active part in informal discussion in a familiar context, putting forward a point of view clearly. As such, her interactive skills in informal conversations are typical of B2 level. She has a sufficient range of language to be able to express her viewpoint and provide a clear explanation. Although her lexical accuracy is generally high, some confusion is caused when she says, "a picture frame of us," rather than a framed picture of us, but we can generally understand what she means. Incorrect word choice does occur at B2, but this is usually without hindering communication. The task allows the test taker to show that she can interact with a degree of fluency and spontaneity that makes regular interaction with others possible. Her phonological control, that is, her use of pronunciation as well as stress and intonation, is generally appropriate, though her accent is at times influenced by the other language or languages she speaks.